and welcome back to the Sherwood Survivors podcast.
Back after our long hiatus.
Why were we in a long hiatus?
Because of track. I coach track, and there's a lot of children. Lindsey was busy too.
Also, during my hiatus, I became a LaCroix fan.
Oh my gosh.
During my hiatus, I got a boyfriend.
What? You did? That's the topic?
No.
Oh, I was like, what? And I'm just... Give me that! Why? Okay. Wait, okay. Why? Not why.
Why?
When? Where? Who?
Oh, when?
No, why?
Why?
You were lonely?
Why? I was lonely. When? A month ago? What? Who? Who? A guy I work with at the airport.
Alright. Am I the only one who didn't know about this?
And he is excited that you know how to cut half black hair.
Is he half black?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Does Rachel know about this?
No.
Okay, good.
Hi, Rachel. You're not going to watch this and you're going to tell us you did. This will be the test.
Let's see what she says. Good podcast, guys.
And that's a wrap.
Anything interesting in it at all? Anything you'd stood out to you?
No.
No. She has a whole plane ride to watch it, so.
Why are we dating this guy?
Well, we think that he is cool. I don't know.
How old is he?
He's my age.
Okay, good.
Not 13 like the other one.
No.
All right, so in my hiatus, I also went to Dallas to see Palace in Dallas with Allison. So we were about ready to go to sleep, and I was like watching a video, and it was a girl who doesn't have internal dialogue, like, at all. And I was like, interesting. And so then I started going down like a rabbit hole of like, how do I think? How internally, what ways do I think? And my friend Allison is very like, oh, I like rehearse words in my head. I say multiple words at a time. I was like, I don't talk to myself in words. Like, rarely do I talk to myself in actual words. And then we went into this like big like conversation that lasted about 3 hours. So the question is, how do you have internal dialogue? Go.
I'm confused how you don't have words.
I'll expound later. Because I have met...
In
In this conversation, there's nothing going on up here. I've actually met 2 different people that you both know that think the exact same way I do. So, not everyone.
2 different people that we...
Well, like,
Oh.
I brought this up to 2 different
Oh.
people that are pretty similar to me.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of the times, like, before I talk, I don't really process what I'm gonna say. Like, I don't, like, repeat it in my head and then talk. Like, it just comes out. But then I do have, like, internal dialogue while I'm at work or, like, doing different tasks. Like at work, I'll be like, okay, click here, and then here, and then here. Like, in my mind, I'll go, like,
With words?
well, like, it's repetitive work, so I'm like, okay, I click on this button, and then I'll say, like, click banking, and then reconcile, then finish, then print. Like, I'll say those as I'm doing it, like, in my head. But then, normally, just, like, day to day, just walking around and cooking, I guess I just think about random things, but I don't, like, talk to myself. Like, I'll just be like, okay, I'm thinking about
So there's
what I'm gonna
people-
eat tomorrow.
Which I think Olivia's gonna be like this. There's people that they say things like, oh, yeah, I was in the shower and I, like, rehearsed that conversation with that person, or I had an argument with myself in my head. That never happens to me, unless it's, like, okay, that rarely, like, twice a year maybe that happens to me, where I say something real stupid and I'm like, oh, I could have said something better, like, in words, and, like, think about it. But I feel like there's people who are like, oh, that happens to me all the time. That
Yeah, for me, it's occasionally, like, I'll be in the shower and I'm thinking about, like, a conversation that I want to have with someone. Like, I'll, like, practice it and, like, think things through. But I never, like, have a conversation with myself. I don't ever be like, so, how did you feel about that? I felt weird about that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't talk to myself about that. So it's like a lot of just processing and like planning different conversations I want to have, or like how I wish conversations would have gone. It's probably more frequent than you do it, but way less frequent than Olivia, probably, in my opinion.
So, starting off the bat, I hear voices. So, and my mom found that out last year. She wanted to take me to a psychiatrist. I have not been to a psychiatrist because they cost a lot more money than a therapist. But the voices have gotten quieter since I got on my antidepressants. A lot quieter. Anyway, so like, part of the reason, too, why I, like, get scared a lot, too, is because I will hear, like, it's like, I'll hear, it's not my voice, it's like a deeper voice. I literally sound like I'm crazy, but this is true. So, most of the time I hear, like, especially when I'm alone, I hear, like, if I'm alone and if I'm, like, at a party, you know, when you're at a party and you're just, like, kind of zoned out or something like that, or you're, like, just sitting down and you're, like, not on your phone, but you're kind of just looking around or whatever. It's, like, either in that situation or, like, if I'm alone, I'll, like, hear voices or something. And they'll just tell me, like, things about myself, or like things about like, oh, like this or whatever. But then also I have more now than I used to. Not more voices. I have less voices in my head now. But I'm not the kind of person where like I'm in the shower and I like talk to myself out loud like, okay, I need to do this. I usually only do that if I have something I need to do. Like if I'm like, okay, so I need to do this, and then I gotta do this, and then I gotta do this. All right, so da-da-da-da-da or whatever. And then I'll usually, to get myself to stop talking to myself out loud by myself, I have to write it all down so then I can checklist it off. But other than that, I have, like, voices in my head talking all the time. And then I'll talk to myself about, the interesting thing is that I need to do this more, but I don't rehearse what I'm going to say in my head as much as I, like, feel like I should be doing. It's mainly, like, things like, I'm trying to think of an example of today. It's like if I was cleaning something, it'd be like, and I forgot, so I like cleaned the bathroom or something, and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to mop the floors or whatever. I would like say out loud, like, dang it, Olivia, like, why did you do that or whatever? And then I'll like get in this little weird, like, and Quinn thinks it's weird, but like I'll be like, oh, because you're stupid, like, da-da-da-da, and then I talk to myself out loud. I'll be driving, and I can drive in like complete silence and completely like zone out when I'm like just listening to myself in my head. And now I'm gonna like write down notes now because of this question about what I'm thinking about when this is happening, because I'm interested to think about, like, because it's just like second nature. Like I don't think about it at all. Like I don't. It's just I just am listening to either my inner dialogue or some other voice or whatever. And the other voice that scares my mom is like this deeper version of my voice, and it kind of sounds like that. No, I can't do it because I can't do it. But it doesn't sound like that. It's like a deeper, like, it sounds kind of more of like a mannish voice. No, it's not scary. It sounds like an actual, like, someone's voice. It's not like.
Does it sound like one of your brothers?
No, it doesn't. It just is like a basic, like, I can't do the voice, but it'll be like, are you sure you should have done that? Or something like that. And then it's like, I'll talk back and forth. So yeah, that's my answer. This is interesting.
Wow, I have so many questions. Are they always negative? Every example you used was like negative.
Me and my sister-in-law made my niece's birthday cake for Sophie's birthday cake for her second birthday. And it, like, looked really good. And, like, the voices in my head will be like, wow, you did, like, a really good job on that. And I'll, like, out loud say, oh, yeah, I know. And then sometimes people will say, who? And I'll say, like, huh? And I'll be like, oh, nothing. Or like, Quinn will say, what? And I'll say, oh, nothing. I was just talking to myself, like, all the time. I'm like, I was just talking to myself, so it's not always negative.
So, when you think about this voice, you don't recognize it as your own.
No, not really.
So it's completely autonomous, like, by itself? Like, you can't control it at all?
Yeah, I mean, antidepressants, like, it's less. But, yeah, before it was, like, it's all the time. Especially when going to sleep. It's really annoying.
Because I have, like...
Not everybody's gonna be like, ah! No.
Yeah, if you, comment below if you have any ideas of...
There are people out there like me.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay. So to top that, my friend basically said slightly similar, but it was all like internal. There was no external voices. So she said like she's an overthinker. So everything's in words, and she said she'll have like multiple conversations with herself at the same time, which is slightly similar. Yeah, so like different trains of thoughts in actual words going through her head. And I was like, what? And like, for me, it's almost the complete opposite. So it took me forever to think about this. I've been thinking about it for like 2-3 weeks now. So I couldn't like formulate it all when I first was thinking about it. But for me, it's mainly everything in my head is feelings is how I first described it. But everyone I've talked to that thinks the same way as me, we're all three of us are like less emotional, I would say, and they like don't react on emotion as much as most people. So I changed it to like perceptions. So it's like, oh, there's a guy so when we were in Dallas, there was a guy holding a 2x4 and looking really proud of it. And I was like, oh, instinct, go to the other side of the street, get Allison's attention. Like, hey, let's like casually cross over here away from him. None of that was like, oh, this guy looks scary, like in words. It was all just like instinct. So like that's what's going through my head almost all the time. Unless I'm trying to like learn, then I have to like put it into words a lot of times. If it's something that I have to recite back, or if it's something like sharing my thoughts and my feelings and perceptions in my head, like out loud to other people, I sometimes struggle with that, putting it into actual like words to like produce out. So that's something that like, yeah, I talked about. But the other thing that we brought up that I'll ask you guys about is if I told you to like picture a red apple, can you actually do that? Because I cannot.
What? You can't just picture a red apple?
Red apple in your head?
Yeah.
So
What?
What do you see?
for me, it's like I know what a red apple is. I know my experiences with a red apple, so that's like what comes up. But then Allison asked me, so like if I told you step into your parents' living room right now, how does that work? For some reason, comment below if you know why, I always orient myself like towards it. Like I always like in my mind turn when I'm like, oh, okay, yep, there's the couch here, the picture up here.
Like, oh,
yeah, okay.
Right now.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. No one else does
I
that.
did that too.
Okay, yeah. I always turn with my right hand. Like, my right shoulder leads me to it. Weird. Okay.
That's how I do directions, too.
Yes,
That's
yes,
literally
right?
My mom and Grace were like, how do you just know how to get somewhere? And I'm like, in my head, I literally go from, like, where the place is and where I am. And I, like, kind of turn. I literally, like, I usually always turn to the right, too. But, yeah, I'm like, okay, you have to go this way. And then in my mind, it's like the little TV shows where the little racer goes, you know?
Yeah. No, like, even when I'm looking at a map, like, if I'm on Google Maps, I have to zoom in, find the place, and then orient, like, the map in my mind of where things are, and then I can, like, know where it is. Like, if there's a new place, like, even today, a coworker was telling me about a coffee shop, and I was like, oh, I want to figure out where that is. And so I, like, zoomed in, found it, then I zoomed out, realized where I was, turned it around, and then I was like, okay, that's how you get there.
Okay, glad I'm not the only one on that. So yeah, I orient myself, and then it's not, I see the couch here. It's, I know the couch is here. I know the picture's here. I know there's a chair there and a chair there. And like, Allison's like, okay, what color is the couch though? I'm like, it's brown because I know it, not because I see it. Like.
Well, I guess in my mind, I don't like physically see it.
Can you physically try to picture the couch?
Well, I can I know what it looks like, but I don't like.
Yes! No! Okay, give me this.
I don't
Literally
see a picture, like an actual picture, but I feel like I know what it is.
Picture a golden retriever right now.
But like I
Can't.
But I can picture a red apple.
Man, you guys are weird. It's like you said your parents' living room. I instantly like it's like in Criminal Minds where they're like they do that little thing or whatever. Which I don't know if they do this in real life in like crime or whatever. But like in crime, crime. But where they're like, all right, close your eyes. You're back in this scene. Like, what's happening right now? Like that's how I think. Is like I'm in your parents' living room. Where are your parents right now? Your dad's sitting in that chair. Your mom is sitting on the couch. Like, da-da-da-da. Here's the fireplace. Like, I can see everything. Like, there's the gumball thing.
I can see details, but it's not, like, super clear, you know? Like, I can look and I see I'm standing in the living room. I'm facing the coffee table. The couch is here. Like, I know where everything is, but it's, like, I don't see it's super detailed. Like I'm not physically in the space.
Weird. But you can
it's
see
like
it?
The layout.
Yeah, it's almost, yeah.
I wouldn't say I can't see it, but I'm also not super detailed.
That's so weird. I thought everybody thought this way.
I know. That's why this is wild.
That's why I feel like I knew that you saw it that way, because
you're so detailed.
You're so detailed, and it's like, we'll say, oh, you're like, oh yeah, at my 6th birthday party, you were sitting here, and you were sitting there, and that's where you were, and...
Yeah,
like,
somehow I don't remember that super traumatic event for you guys that I did. Maybe I, like, trauma blocked it, and I'm gonna go to, like, an appointment and release it, and I'm gonna be like, ah!
It's okay, it was trauma for us, not you. It's okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, so for me, I think I have a better sense of direction than most people. I can like, zooming into Google Maps, like, if someone's like, oh, or I'll be like, oh, what's the name of that restaurant I've been to 5 times? I know exactly. I'll zoom in from Earth. I'll just zoom into there, and I'll be like, here, click on it. The little ding comes up, and I'm like, oh, that's the name of the restaurant. Like, I can pick it out on a street in a place I've been to. Like Kansas City, somewhere I know really well, where I'm like, oh yeah, I know it's by that, and I know it's a street over from that. But I don't know, directions are so easy for me.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page as that, like, growing up, like, with friends who would drive somewhere and have to use their GPS, like, every single time to get there. It's like, my first time I'll use a GPS, and then I don't need it anymore. Like, to get somewhere. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
I go by landmarks. Mine is I'm a big landmark person.
I guess I use a lot of landmarks too.
In past places I've been, I guess. I don't know.
But I think there's something to it, like, internally too, of like, some people just have an idea of where they are in space.
Yeah.
And I think some people just lack that ability, like Rachel.
Well, like how Rachel's like northwest, east, south, or whatever, and how I do northwest or northeast or whatever. How I do it is I literally picture like where am I right now, and then I'm like, what direction is my parents' house? Because I know it's on North Brighton, and north is that, or like is this way past my house. I don't think about it from like my house where I live right now, my parents' house. I think of like, okay, this is, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't do like directional, like northeast, southwest. I really have to think about that. I can get anywhere without knowing northeast, southwest. Mm-hmm. It's like when someone's like, okay, like JC, who was just saying, oh, that place, it's like on the west side of town. And I was like, I had to, in my mind, picture where northwest, I went northeast, southwest. I was like, yes it is.
Same.
So with the thinking in your head, do you ever like, can you visualize yourself in situations where you regret what you said or like or doing what you said or whatever? So like, say you like were talking to your boss about something like, and you're like, oh man, later on, like I should have said something different or whatever. Can you visualize yourself in that room with your boss, like talking, or like any situation, like you're thinking about, okay, longboarding, that would be easier for you probably. Like, can you think of like, oh man, I should have done this, and do you think about it like in your head? Can you visualize it?
Yeah, that's a hard no. When I was trying to kickflip during COVID, I realized I was closing my eyes when I was about to land, and that helped. But like, no, like I know where my like body is. I know the feeling I got, and I know
afterwards.
the words I said, and I know, and it, like that feeling. It's like a feeling, like oh,
Like,
you messed up. Yeah, you're like, oh man, and that feeling won't go away.
I don't think I replay it. I still have that, like, I can know where I was and, like, I can feel, like, where I was in that situation and, like, the surroundings, but the same thing, it's not, like, super clear.
Yeah, I am 100% opposite of that. I cannot visualize any of that. Like, I feel like a lot of my memories, like, oh, I had fun, gone. Unless I took pictures or videos, then I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that one thing that one time. Like, that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought everybody thought the way I.
No, you remember things so much better.
We ask you.
What did we get you for your 5th birthday? And you're like, a piano. And we're like, okay. I don't know. Like, we always trust your memory.
Okay. Dogs! You should adopt them. Don't breed.
Welcome back. We now have a guest, JC, Lindsay's husband. Mandy, would you like to ask him the question?
How do you think? In what manner does your brain process thought? For me, nothing goes on up here in words.
So, we wanted to bring you in on this conversation about when you visualize, like, a memory, or you visualize, like, we've been talking about, like, my parents' living room. When you visualize that, do you, like, physically step into the living room and you can see clearly everything? Okay, because Mandy, nothing. Me, I think I'm...
Blueprints.
Olivia can, like, physically put herself, and she saw the gumball machine. You'd have to ask me about the gumball machine. Like, for me, I'm there, but it's, like, hazy. Like, it's not hazy, like, physically hazy, but it's, like, I know there's a couch there, but I cannot see the couch. I know there's trim around the walls, but I can't see the trim. But I'm, like, there, but it's not super clear. So that's kind of where we wanted to get your input.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say I think I'm kind of with both of you. I can picture myself there. I can see colors and everything and physically put myself there. If I was thinking of your parents' house or what it looks like right now, I can picture the couch, how everything's set up, where things are. If I'm there recently, I can think of colors and everything. I could down to the exact detail.
See, I don't get, like, super vivid colors. Like, I know the couch is brown.
Mm-hmm.
I know the trim is tan.
Okay. It changes.
But, like, the colors aren't super vivid.
I mean, it's not, like, crystal clear in my mind. I would say it's kind of foggy. But, like, I can picture the item and stuff.
So, if you're walking on a street and a man looks very proud of his 2x4 and he's kind of swinging it around, in your head you say, oh wow, I should probably go to the other side of the street. Oh, I should get Lindsay's attention and show her that there's danger there. Like, in words?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that.
You tell yourself,
I
need to move to the other side of the street?
Yeah, like, I would tell myself and then act. Kind of.
I just act.
I tell myself.
I mean, I think it depends. I think it depends on the situation. Like, if it's a high, like, adrenaline situation, I'll act, but, like, I know what to do. But, like, if it's, like, everyday task or, like, I have a set amount of tasks, I'll be like, okay, I've done this, okay, now I need to go do this, or, oh, this just popped in my head.
That's what I do. And they're like, we don't think anything. Well, Lindsay's like, there's a little voice.
I got a little voice.
For me, planning, like, to-do list and stuff, if I'm, like, you guys texted me, like, hey, you guys want, or when do you guys want to hang out this weekend? And I was like, oh, I can Monday night. And then I wrote down in my calendar, Monday night, hang out with Olivia and Lindsay. because it's just gonna go like that, or like I might be doing something random and it might pop in my head like, oh, did you remember to cancel the house or the rental insurance on the house? And I'm like, I haven't done that. I haven't done that. I need to write that down or else it's gonna go again.
Yeah. I think recently it's gotten worse. Or I've just been more consistent about writing things down, especially at work. Like, if I don't write it down, the fact it's gonna, like, leave my brain is pretty high. And then, like, 2 weeks later, it'll pop in, and I'm like, ooh, I said I was gonna cancel the rental insurance, and I didn't. So I like a good to-do list.
If it's on a to-do list, that's very important. If not, I just roll.
Yeah, that's kind of how I
Which usually ends up getting me in trouble.
Yeah, like with your doctor's appointment.
Doctor's appointment. Well, not important.
You don't put doctor's appointments on it. See, I do stuff on my calendar, but I'll also like to the degree, it depends on how overwhelmed I am, like to the degree where I'll put like every hour I'll be like, go like on my calendar sometimes I'll be like, go to the gym, go to this to get this, go to the store, go to the or whatever if I'm really overwhelmed, but otherwise it'll just be like, what am I doing today? All right, I'm going to go here, then there, then there, then there. And then even when I talk to Quinn at the end of the day, I'm like, this is what I did today. I went to work, and then I went here, and then I went there, and then he's just like, I went to work and the gym. And then, like, you know, nothing else in between. And then later, like 2 weeks later, he'll be like, oh, yeah, by the way, at work, I did this.
Another thing that me and Allison actually agreed on, when other people are talking, like conversating, for me, I feel like I cut off people a lot because I'll get a thought, and I'll be like, oh, that relates to this thing. But then, if I don't say it right then it's gone, because I'm still paying attention to them. And so, like, I feel like I have to either, like, be like, okay, remember that, and then wait for a gap and, like, squeeze it in, or I have to, like, fully focus on them, and then it's, like, gone, and it might come back up later, but it probably won't.
Yeah. I get that exact same thing.
I had that when I was a child, but now I'm an adult, and I'm just kidding. No, I used to do that, and then Quinn that's one of his biggest pet peeves. Like, Quinn hates being interrupted. So I, like, actively for the past, like, 4 years have been, like, with everybody, like, do not interrupt them until there is a lull, like, and everything. And it's like, I have to, and I'm like, and also when people are talking, I'm repeating the words that they say, like, everything you were saying back in my head.
No.
What?
You don't do that?
No. Nope.
JC, do you do that?
I don't know, because you said that, and then I was starting to think, well, do I do that? And then I was like, I don't know. I just repeated kind of the last thing you just said in my head.
I'm
so
doing
maybe?
it right now,
Yeah,
and
but-
it's really
Yeah,
overwhelming.
I know, right?
My brain isn't capable.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're in my head now, I think.
And then we were also talking about, like, directions. How do you orient yourself? How do you feel like someone says, you need to go, like, for your job, you need to go to this street and this street. Like, how do you feel like you do that? Do you, like, picture out a plan, or do you just
Go straight to GPS? Like,
or do you, like, focus on landmarks? Do you focus on northeast, southwest?
I would say prior to my current job, I would use landmarks a lot. I would just say, like, well, I know where this is relatively close to this landmark that I've been to a lot. I know, right? And
You're boring.
yeah, sorry, dog. But yeah, I would use landmarks a lot. I would, if I'm familiar with the area, I'm like, okay, I'll turn here at this landmark and then the next thing. But then once I had to memorize directions and all that stuff, I would use kind of like a combination of landmarks and streets and all that stuff.
So you have to know, like, north, east, southwest, like, every
Yep.
day. Oh,
It's
wow.
it's very vital. And then on top of that, like, I'm teaching someone how to do that now. So
Oh, you got a little ride-along person?
they
I don't know what they're called.
recruit is what
Okay,
they're professionally called, but like
A little ride along.
they're more like driving me around. But
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I'm kind of teaching that to them now, is how to, like, okay, create a route in kind of your head, but also using the directions.
All right. Thanks for joining us on here, JC. And now, a short commercial break.
Neuralink, brought to you by Elon.
PG.
All right, kiddos. So, Do you guys have any final thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, other words, second, third, fourth person words about this topic? Because I still think about it like the navigating thing. I don't know how I do it, but pretty good at it. Yeah. Any final wrap up thoughts?
Honestly, I probably won't think about this past this conversation. That's just how my brain works.
I'm probably gonna go home and talk to Quinn about this, and then probably talk to Grace about it, and then my family, and probably my work tomorrow. So I'll be thinking about this for a while. And I kind of knew I was like one of the only few people that whenever people talk to me, I like repeat the words in my head. But I totally thought that everybody else could like.
Do you repeat every single word?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did that while JC was talking. I was like, that is a lot. That's too much.
It's like at the same time, but like a millisecond behind, like a second behind.
Yes, for like too much, like putting my thoughts and like feelings in my head into words. Like if I'm like trying to do like a impromptu speech or something, or I'm about to like I got a minute to plan for a speech, so I'm thinking in all words. That's tiring for me. Like trying to think in words.
I think for me, it's just jumbled. Like, if I'm trying to, I'm much better if, like, I really want to focus on saying something, like, writing it down and getting those words on paper, because I feel like if I'm not, I'm going here, there, and then I'm like, wait, I wanted to say this, and then I'm like, ugh. So if I get down and I, like, actually write it out what I'm going to say, or bullet it out, so that, like, I can find, like, a clear, cohesive path, because I feel like in my mind it's just like bouncing around and I'm forgetting things that I want to say.
I feel like this explains a lot of my anxiety. So, yeah, very good topic, Mandy. All right. So, Mandy, you want to sign us off?
1, 2, 3, 4.